Hi everyone, very good evening and welcome back to CAIIB Grade B. So today we are doing the rural banking related subject, right? And in that one segment talks about rural development related schemes, right? So there is a specific segment for the rural development schemes and it would be followed by all the schemes related to skill development. What are the schemes that are going on for the skill development part? So for that thing, right now today we are going to do the schemes that have been at the main front for the Ministry of Rural Development. ठीक है, पहले हम वो करेंगे and then we will see that what are the schemes that have been launched for the skill development that focuses majorly on to the rural sector. So in those particular schemes, आज तो हम skill development के बारे में बात नहीं करने वाले हैं. We are going to talk about this in a separate class, but today we'll be talking about the other rural development related schemes that are right now in vogue and the government is also focusing on to them. Although these schemes are in detail, but yes, we will be focusing on to just the important parts of it, right? Just wait for a second. Yes. So we are starting with the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. This particular segment, after we have covered the infrastructure and all, this particular segment is totally focused on to the schemes what are there for the rural development thing. So this particular scheme was launched on 25th December. The year was 2000, right? What was the aim of this particular scheme? We have already covered this scheme in what you can say bullet format, right? But today we are going to do a detailed version of it in case the questions are being asked from it. Providing all weather road connectivity to eligible unconnected what you can say habitations. If there are population of more than 500 people in plains and if more than 250 in hilly or tribal area, this is the criteria. And if the population is more than 100 in the left wing extremism area as has been identified by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So this was the aim of this particular scheme, right? Now, as we see, as I have already told you, there are 3 phases and right now we are in the phase 3rd of this particular scheme. मैंने आपको पहले भी ये चीज बताई हुई है. So in the first phase for providing the rural connectivity, right? Then the second phase lasted from the year 2013 to till 2019 to upgrade the selected rural links and road. And then right now we are in the phase 3. Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana phase 3, and it is going to last till the year 2025, right? This is the phase where we have to focus a little bit more. Now, what are the eligibility? States and UTs would be able to join only after the sanction of 100% works of phase 1 and phase 2 and award of 90% of length. Funding is going to be 60-40 general and 90:10 for the northeastern as well as the 3 Himalayan states of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, right? Now let's talk about the what you can say the key features of this particular scheme. So this particular scheme is at the crossroads of 2 things. Number 1, infrastructure, and number 2 is rural development. So as you all know that roads are what you can say the pinnacle of development. ठीक है, वहां से ही सारा development शुरू होता है. So let us see. Key features are maintenance of rural roads constructed under Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana is responsibility of the state government, right? It encourages use of green technologies and non-conventional materials like the geotextiles, wax plastics, etc. It has been mandated that minimum 15% of the total length, कम से कम 15% of your total length should be under the new technology. Then there is online management monitoring and accounting system. It is the GIS system, Global Information System, to monitor the progress that has been built. Then there is an agency called as National Rural Infrastructure Development Agency, which provides the management related support to this particular scheme. Now, state level rural roads development agency is there at the state level. States also places the DRRP. So these are the district level plans which are placed. Once approved by the district panchayat, copy is sent to the state level committee. Now this is something which is not important for you, right? यहाँ पे जो और initiatives हैं ये हमारे लिए जरूरी हैं. For example, e-mark, for example, Meri Sadak app, right? So over here we interact with the citizens and that is how the information gets to us. So e-mark is electronic maintenance of rural roads, is an enterprise e-governance solution for maintaining the rural roads constructed under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Then we have Meri Sadak. It is a mobile app to enable the users to give their feedback regarding the pace of work, quality of work, etc. And then lastly we have the Sukhad Yatra app, which provides information about the road conditions, facilitating lodging of the complaints. So these are the things that you have to focus on. What are the aims of this particular what you can say scheme, right? What it in what phase it is, and what have been the new initiatives that were taken under this particular scheme. So these were the things that we need to discuss. Moving ahead and talking about the another very very important, and it is perennially in news, Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MG Narega scheme, right? So this remains in news for various reasons, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, sometimes it is in news because the payments are not being made on time. Okay? Now let us see what are the goals of this particular scheme. So aim is to provide at least 100 days of guaranteed wage employment in a financial year to every rural household whose adult members who are volunteering to volunteer to doing the unskilled manual work. Then what is the goal? To provide the security, opportunities in work, durable asset base creation, right? And then strengthening decentralized participatory planning through convergence of anti-poverty initiatives, deepening the democracy at the grassroots level, etc., etc. These are all the initiatives. Now, what are the objectives of this particular scheme? Let us see that. So, providing not less than 100 days of unskilled manual worker as a guaranteed employment in a financial year, strengthening the livelihood resource base. All of these are the objectives of this particular scheme. Now let us see what have been the roles and what are the initiatives that have been taken under this. So you see in the first phase, yes, in the first phase, there have been 200 districts that were taken and it has been extended subsequently to the additional districts, right? Currently, this is applicable and this is being implemented in the 644 districts of our country. Who is eligible? Anyone who's 18 years plus, adult member of a household who is willing to do the unskilled manual work can apply over here. Households who are having the adult member, they can seek to register themselves. Now, what is the role of Gram Sabha? Gram Sabha determines order of priority, primary forum for the conduct of social audit, right? So, conducting the social audit is also the responsibility of Gram Sabha. Then, what is the roles of Gram Panchayat? Verifying the application, issuing the job cards, making available all relevant documents, maintaining accounts and providing utilization certificates, identifying and planning the work, forwarding the list of work to the program officer, and allotting work within 15 days of submitting the application. So these are what the roles of Gram Sabha, Gram Panchayat as well. These are the works of Gram Panchayat. You have to remember what is the role of Gram Sabha because this is something that is that needs to be remembered. ठीक है, ये वाला part ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि हाँ ठीक है, you should know that how the division has happened. ठीक है, किस तरीके से जो है division हो रखा है. Now okay, let's talk about the unemployment allowance. So if an applicant it is not provided employment within the 15 days of asking, right? Once you have asked for the employment and if you are not getting the employment within 15 days, then there is something called as unemployment allowance for which you are eligible. Okay? It will be calculated automatically by the computer system or the management information system, and the cost of it would be borne by the state government. इसकी cost को state government bear करेगी. Next thing which is important is wage material ratio. See, when any construction is being going on, the aim of this particular scheme is to help the people, right, to provide them wages so that they can use it for their consumption. तो अब ऐसा तो नहीं है कि आप 100 रुपए का अगर आपका टोटल खर्चा हो रहा है, if total 100 rupees are being spent, so you cannot do like that you have purchased 80 rupees worth of what you can say material and you are paying only 20 rupees as wages. That is not something which is acceptable. So human labor is something which is acceptable over here. यहाँ पे हम human labor करवा रहे हैं and that is why we are focusing more on to it. You will say cost, you will see cost of material component of projects which includes the wages of skilled and semi-skilled workers that are taken up under the scheme. It shall not exceed 40%, right? So आपका material इससे 40% से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. This 60-40 ratio is for the wages and material cost. 60% for the wages and 40% for the material, right? So this should be the ratio. The total majority of the amount you cannot spend on the wages. You cannot do that. Now, important features are like the employment should be provided within 5 kilometers. 1/3 of the beneficiaries should be women, right? So these are all the features of it. Now, this particular part is very much lengthy, but this is not everything that you need to focus on over here, right? थोड़ी थोड़ी चीजें हैं जो आपको ध्यान में रखनी है. Let us see that. So, Gram Panchayat, it registers household and the issues job card within 15 days. A delay in compensation in MG Narega will be given to the worker at a rate of 0.5% of the unpaid wages, right? No contractors will be there, only labor intensive task will be done. Additional 50 days of work would be provided in case of drought. ठीक है, drought के केस में additional 50 days of work should be provided. And the rest of the conditions are in detail, so no need of that. Then there is a Gram Rojgar Sahayak. Gram Rojgar Sahayak, also called as the employment guarantee assistant, who is a work site supervisor and the key functionaries at the Gram Panchayat level. Now, all of these are details about the functionaries which are available into this particular scheme, but this is not something which we have to read. Although this is, as I have already told you, this is in a detailed format, but आपको, you only have to focus from your exam perspective, you only have to focus onto the main features of the scheme. That is it, right? So if we are talking about MG Narega, then we need to know that, okay, how many days of employment, who is eligible, right? What is the wage and material ratio, right? Who's going to bear the cost of it? So these are the few things that you need to remember, and rest of the things can be skipped. Now there is one feature of it that we need to focus, and this is social audit. So you have to remember that social audit is the responsibility of Gram Sabha. ठीक है, Gram Sabha की responsibility है ये. It is a critical stock taking of any program or scheme by the community with active involvement of the primary stakeholders. This includes facilitation of social audit through independent social audit units. State governments, they have to identify or establish independent social audit units to facilitate the Gram Sabha, Ward Sabha in conducting the social audits. Then there is a village resource person as well to help in the social audit related part. Now you have to see the timing. So social audit should be conducted at least once in every 6 months. ठीक है, 6 महीने में एक बार social audit is compulsory. Concurrent social audits, they shall be done for all works every month. So social audit is that the people who all are the beneficiaries of it, they come together and they see that what kind of work has happened, and the amount that has been spent, whether it truly justifies the work that has been done on the ground, right? So obviously this is the work of social audit. Social audit का मतलब ही होता है in order to check. Then another important feature is ombudsman. So on recommendation of selection committee, an ombudsman would be provided under this particular scheme. Now the powers of ombudsman is to receive the complaints from MG Narega worker, issue directions for conducting the spot investigation, initiating proceedings in event of any need arising, right, suggesting redressal, disciplinary and the corrective actions, and report findings to the district programs, right. So these are all the things under this particular scheme. Now the next scheme that we have is Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana, again a scheme for rural development, has been launched in the year 2014. And why it has been launched? To trigger the process of holistic development. Now what are the aims? Basic amenities improve karna, human development ko, better livelihood provision, wider social mobilization, as well as 100% immunization. Now what were the targets of under this particular scheme? To develop 3 Adarsh Grams by March 2019, of which by one by 2016, and then it will be thereafter 5 such Adarsh Gram, 1 per year would be selected, and they would be developed by the year 2024. So just remember this, and a basic idea about what does the scheme talks about. ठीक है, इतना ही है. The gram panchayat, it would be the basic unit for development, right? And member of parliament, they are going to identify one gram panchayat would be taken up for immediately and 2 later. Now next, a very important scheme that we have, this is Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Rural Livelihood Mission. It does have its urban counterpart as well, that is National Urban Livelihood Mission, right? NULM as well as NRLM. So these are the two parts of it. एक rural segment के लिए है और एक urban segment के लिए. Let us see what we are doing under it. But the main aim of this particular scheme is, first of all, let's see this. So aim is to mobilize 10 crores rural poor households into self-help groups in a phased manner. ठीक है, ये aim है. Why this is the aim? Because see, we all know that unity is power. So when instead of one person, if there are 10 people who are coming together, who are joining their savings, right, and then they are putting those savings into some kind of productive work, ठीक है, उसी saving को आप productive work में लगा रहे हो, then that is something which is going to help you. वो आपको help करेगा. So this is why the intention of this particular scheme is to bring the population into self-help groups. Now let us see this. So it has been titled as National Rural Livelihood Mission, right? What is the objective of this particular scheme? To promote the sustainable livelihoods for the poor, that they come out of the poverty. Now what the mission seeks to achieve? It seeks to achieve social mobilization and strengthening of self-managed, financially sustainable community, financial inclusion, livelihoods, social inclusion. These are all of its, what you can say, aims. The next thing that you have to focus over here is most of the interventions under this particular mission, they are being scaled up by the SSG women themselves, and they are being trained as Krishi Sakhis, Pashu Sakhis, Bank Sakhis, as well as the Bima Sakhis. That means they are being trained under a particular segment, right? And then they do a work of knowledge dissemination to the other people of village. ठीक है, वो सेम चीज को disseminate करते हैं. मतलब ये होता है कि this works like a downward filtration theory. आप एक को motivate करो, आप एक को educate करो, and then they are going to educate other people as well. They are going to help the other people in the rural population. So that is what the scheme aims for. Now what are the funding? 60-40 general, 90:10 for the northeastern states and Sikkim, and 100% for the UTs. All women self-help groups comprising of more than 70% below poverty line or the rural poor members are regarded as self-help groups under the Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Rural Livelihood Mission. Up to 30% of the total membership may be among the population marginally above the poverty line. So these are the things that 70% for the BPL and the rest of the people can be from the above poverty line section as well. So there is no requirement that सारे के सारे जो हैं BPL category से ही हो. Now the eligibility, so NRLM target households, they are identified through the participatory identification of the poor instead of the BPL category. What is this participatory identification of the poor? This is a community driven process, right, where the community organizations, they themselves identify कि ठीक है, these are the people who are poor and these are the people who need support, इनको support की जरूरत है. Now let us talk about implementation as well. So central government is there, state government, district level implementation is going to be done. Now what are the key features of this particular scheme of NRLM? So it would ensure adequate coverage of the vulnerable sections, like the 50% of the beneficiaries, they are SC/ST, 15% minorities and 3% would be from the disabled population. Next is participatory identification of poor. The households which are identified with at least one deprivation criteria as per SECC along with the households, right, they will be eligible for all the benefits under this particular program. Okay. Now what is the promotion of institutions of the poor? So DAY, NRLM, they would provide specialized institutions, livelihood collectives, producers, cooperatives, etc. Now these all revolve around the same thing, that the self-help groups would be formulated, right, and then there are funds as well. तो हम इन funds के बारे में बस एक बार बात कर लेते हैं, that what are the names of the funds that have been created under this particular scheme. So first of all, community investment and support fund, vulnerability reduction fund, right, why these, and then there is a revolving fund as well. What are these funds talking about? So the first and foremost thing that you need to do is you need to remember the names of the funds that have been created under this particular scheme. क्या नाम है इन funds का? And after that you will see revolving funds, it provides the support for the self-help groups for their existence. Community investment support, it would be routed through to the SSGs through village level federations. Equivalent to 2.5 lakh per SSG will be provided for the capital investment. ठीक है, मान लीजिए if I have to what you can say implement this particular setup, this is my capital investment. ठीक है, ये मुझे अपनी capital के लिए चाहिए. Next is vulnerability reduction fund. So mission also provides vulnerability reduction funds to the self-help group federations so that they can undertake financing of food security, health, nutrition as well, right? It is estimated to be around 1.8 lakh per voluntary or village organization. So these are the things under this particular scheme. Now there are a lot of things that you need not to focus on to it, right? The next thing that we need to focus, sub schemes of National Rural Livelihood Mission. This is also something which is important because this is linked with the agriculture part as well. ठीक है, तो ये आपके agriculture part से भी मिलता है. Number 1 we have महिला किसान सशक्तिकरण परियोजना. So this is a sub component of National Rural Livelihood Mission. It organizes women farmers at village level, creates support structure for the training, right, as well as it promotes high level producers organization. That is it. You have to remember that yes, there is a scheme called as Mahila Kisan Sashakti Pariyojana, and this scheme is part of National Rural Livelihood Mission. That means this scheme is a subcomponent of National Rural Livelihood Mission. Followed up, there is a Deen Dayal Upadhyay Grameen Kaushal Yojana. Again, this is important thing because in your syllabus it has been written रूरल डेवलपमेंट स्कीम्स अलॉन्ग विद स्किल डेवलपमेंट रिलेटेड स्कीम्स. ठीक है, तो स्किल डेवलपमेंट भी आपके कोर्स का ही एक पार्ट है. And this particular scheme was launched in 2014. Now what is the aim of this particular scheme? Rural poor who are between the age of 15 and 35 years of age. In the age group of 15 to 35 years, who are the beneficiaries? SC, ST women, PVTGs, and upper limit relaxed to up to 45 years. Particularly vulnerable tribal groups are those tribal groups which have been identified by the government, and right now in India there are 75 particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Okay, 75 PVTGs are there. Then implementation, if we talk about three-tier implementation model, there is a national unit, then there is a state mission, then there are project implementing agencies. Who is eligible for it? If you are owning and including in the BPL PDS card, then ownership inclusion in the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. So if there is this kind of inclusion, then you are eligible under this for the skill development. Who else is a beneficiary? So let us see this. Family members of self-help groups, right? Family members of MG Narega with a minimum 15 days of work in the last 12 months. Now this is all about the need of the scheme. Why do we need the scheme? Placement and the remuneration certification. So this is something which is important. So guaranteed placement for the 70% of the trained candidates and a minimum remuneration of 6,000 rupees. It also mandates two types of training, that is generic training on soft skills as well as the trade specific skills related training. So remember the name of trainings. You do not have to go for the minute details of any particular scheme because there is a lot in your syllabus on its own. So you have to remember the name of the scheme and as well as its basic features. बस उतना ही, उससे ज़्यादा हमें बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल में यहाँ नहीं जाना है. Although there is a lot that has been provided. Now next component that we have is called as Startup Village Entrepreneurship Program, SVEP, has been launched in 2015-16. It enables rural poor to set up their enterprises through ICT techniques, right? Skill building support is provided to the entrepreneurs, and a dedicated community enterprise fund which provides accessible seed finance to the new and existing entrepreneurs, that is also being provided over here. Next is National Rural Economic Transformation Project. So has been launched in the year 2019. The time it was declared effective from 2019 and it was scheduled to close on 30th June 2023. Next is Ajivika Grameen Express Yojana. This was also one of the schemes and it has expired in the year 2020. So now it is no longer there, but just a name of it would be sufficient. Why the aim was, what was the aim over here? So aim was alternate source of livelihood and investment fund for the community based organizations under the National Rural Livelihood Mission would be provided. This remains in news a lot. Saras Ajivika Mela. So this is also something which is organized by Ministry of Rural Development. So that self-help groups, women self-help groups, they can be brought in under one platform. Through participation under this, these rural self-help group women would get the vital national level exposure. And then we have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen, but this is something we are going to start tomorrow, not today. This is it for this particular class. Thank you so much for joining in, and if you did understood something out of this class, please do not forget to like this video. Thank you so much.